Welcome everyone to Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars. Today we're going to discuss small hot hatches. So the small car segment with performance cars. We have the Volkswagen Polo GTI, the Ford Fiesta ST and the Audi S1. So later on, after we have watched these three cars, we're going to discuss about which one's actually the best, or at least the best for you, or what's your opinion on that. And I will also draw my conclusion as you're used to from our comparison test reviews here. So let's go with these very exciting three cars. Secret here on snow and ice is to drive smooth. You really shouldn't press the throttle too hard, and also you shouldn't turn the steering wheel too much. Because you see here, soon if you turn it really much, you slide around all the way, and then you can only save the car actually by the throttle. So your normal reaction would be the brake, but that doesn't bring you anywhere, so you have to put more throttle in it that you can turn around into the other direction again. You feel that it's a very small compact car that's very good to handle. The steering wheel is very sporty, I really love it. You see, you cannot always keep the 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock position for your hands at the steering wheel here, because you sometimes have to rescue the car when it's going really sideways. And that's my favorite corner here, when it can go sideways a long time. Looking at the exterior design of the new Audi S1, we got this one here with a quattro exterior and interior pack. And this exterior is dominated by a single frame front grille, which is very massive, as well as the chrome side mirror caps. And we got it here, the B-color alloy wheels. The quattro exterior pack also delivers us this massive wing here. Well, and then this small car really looks powerful. And in the back, you see we got 4 exhaust pipes. You hardly find that with any other small car. The quattro interior pack starts right here at the back of the seats. We got this shiny red element here. You can pick it in red, yellow or black, and of course when the car is Misano red on the outside, the red also fits better here. Sitting in the back, well, I have to say it is a 2-people car, and I didn't want to fake the front seat, so I left it in a position where the front driver has enough space, and then you see there is no really space in the back. So maybe, well, you can put your kids in here, but not real tall persons. But the trunk is quite okay, I think. We get a special net here as well. I like it, because if you're driving fast, and you do that with that car, you put your stuff underneath the net, then it's all secure for your wild maneuvers. 5.8 seconds is the sprint from 0 to 100 km an hour or 0 to 60 mph. We got a turbo-backed 2-liter engine, maximizing it to the 370 Nm of torque. To get the power to the ground, we got the quattro all-wheel drive as well as a transverse differential lock. This is done electronically. significant thing here in the exterior design is of course the front. You got this waffle design here with a black grille. I've just cleaned the car, but you know, in this weather it almost gets dirty after like 10 seconds. Then we got the GTI logo and another strong baffle structure at the lower part, and this makes the car really aggressive from the front design. My favorite feature is actually you got this horizontal red line here, the GTI line, and it is carried over through the headlights, and I think that is very nice. And not only in the front, if you look at it from the side, it continues here inside the lights. I think that's quite a spectacular and my favorite design feature here. We got a very nice small shiny black wing here. I think it's very good, especially in this size, because you know, if a wing is too big nowadays, I've talked about it with Joe recently as well. I think these very huge rear wings, I think that's something of the 90s in my opinion. I like it today if it has a little bit of understatement. Furthermore, on the rear, we don't have so many changes, but we do have a rear diffuser. It gets dirty very soon, very fast as well. And we got two pipes here at the rear end for the exhaust. So I welcome you here on the co-driver seat, because the driver's seat can only be seen when it's empty, and we got this classic checkered structure here on the surface. It's a typical for the GTI. We also know it from the Golf GTI. I think it's well, it's not my favorite structure, I must admit, but I think it adds to this racing feeling here. And you also see the seats, they go a little bit deeper. They are these racing seats, high class here from the surface, and I think they offer very good side support. And what is quite interesting, we got a small car here with the Polo, but also tall people, 1.86 meters. They are actually quite okay with this small car, because these racing seats here offer, you know, a little bit more space to go down into the seat, and then you also don't have so much problem for your legs, even if they're longer. Then we also know from the Polo, we got the GTI steering wheel, flattened end, red contour stitches from the inside, very beautiful, nice surface as well, a very good grip handle, and then this chrome style elements here. Well, it'll get a little bit dusty quite soon, but still, you got the GTI logo, and I think this steering wheel is just perfect as it is. I can just always stress again that these buttons that Volkswagen is using, they all feel very high class. You see here, this one is kind of, well, it's not a button, it's kind of spread out, because in the Golf GTI we got the ACC there, the adaptive cruise control. We don't have that one here. We just got a normal cruise control. On the right side here you can control the central instrument. And for example, when I start the car, it's also a nice feature. You see, like a racing car, it goes to the maximum and back again. So altogether I can say a great interior for the small car here. I'm totally satisfied with it. Well, really got a nice touch everywhere. We, of course, don't have a comparable interior to the Golf GTI, I must say, except for the steering wheel, because you see here, this is kind of, well, it is plastic, but it's soft plastic, but still the Golf is a class higher and, well, looks a little bit more superior here from the interior. But in general, I think this car sets the standards for this segment, especially with the small GTI features. However, I can just repeat that I would have expected more from serial production with this GTI version, because it's almost double the price in the standard version. Well, here in the small car segment, we can also excuse that we don't have hydraulic dampers to hold the hood open. So that's quite okay here for that. Got the isolation here. It's quite soft actually, also feels very nice just when touching it. Then let's look at this TSI engine. That's a turbo petrol engine, a small one, but it has now 1.8 liters. The pre-facelift version had 1.4 liters, and so now 0.4 liters more of capacity. So it's a 1.8 liter turbo engine with 192 horsepower. That's really a lot for this small car, and this is also the main argument to have a lot of fun here with the Polo GTI facelift. Most driving fun you can of course have if you got some countryside roads or if you have the possibility to go on the racetrack. Here you feel that you got this very direct steering, so uncomparable for any other small car. Maybe the only car that could match it is a Ford Fiesta ST. We will have that one soon in the video review as well, or if you watch the video a little bit later than it has been aired, the link will also be in the video description. So, but in general, you wouldn't expect it's a small car segment here, because you got this very nice direct steering. It's so much fun to ride this car here. Right now I'm in normal mode, so well, the Polo GTI is a little bit less comfortable than the normal Polo, but that's, you know, quite normal because you also got that stiffer suspension and you also sit 50mm lower on the road. But then again, to make it really stiff, you can use the sport mode, and with the sport mode, you feel it immediately. You get more response on the road. The steering wheel is a little bit stiffer, and you got a faster throttle input, and also the RPMs get higher. Well, a normal Ford Fiesta is quite cheap. You don't pay much more than 10,000 euros. Maybe if you put some equipment in 12,000, 13,000, that's quite okay. But this one, you know, the top version, the Ford Fiesta ST, is about 20,000 euros. And this test car is about 24,000 euros because we got some more equipment in it. Still, the Polo GTI, as I said, will be a little bit more expensive. So let's see what we get for this money here. Design-wise, we have a huge front grille here in this new design, but then we also got the comp structure in here. And it's not only that we got this kind of cheap plastic structure in here, no, the surface is shiny and black. It also feels good actually, very well done here. Big ST logo here as well, and a very strong lower bumper here. That's quite pleasing, and well, I think this aggressive style really fits this car, and it's not too much exaggerated in my opinion. Then let's take a look again at the whole side profile. Of course, it's also more aggressive than the usual version. We got a little bit of stronger side bumpers here. Then we got 16-inch alloys with brake calipers. Of course, they are still kind of small wheels because it's a small car, but the 16-inch doors also fit quite well to the car. Then at the back it gets, you know, more aggressive even. And there you can really argue. I also want to hear your opinion on that. Is that still okay, or is it maybe too much? We got huge rear wing here, also with small holes here on the top side. I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit too much, but maybe you have another opinion about that and you really like it. Then we got another ST logo here at the rear part. Right here, also quite prominent. Strong rear really for the small car. Then check the interior. Getting a little bit of sun now here. Special ST Sport steering wheel. Perforated structure at the outside. ST logo at the lower end. And then this is special, these are the Recaro seats. Special Recaro racing seats. See, with a B color, contrast stitches in white, ST logo, and really a lot of side support. It's a really huge racing seat. It's not the kind that you feel, okay, there's some shoulder support. No, you're really caged in that seat. So it's really almost something you would say, okay, it's really made for the racetrack, this seat. And then the entry logo here from the ST also at the lower part. It's also some kind of nice thing. What I don't find that pleasing, besides these racing structures, are the inside of the doors. Well, this one is kind of here cheap. And you see we also got a quite long door, of course, because it's a 3-door version, but that leads to the floor. Because when you try to close the door, you don't really have the power to close it always at a time. It sometimes happens that you have to close it 2 or 3 times from the inside, and then it really gets closed because there's a lot, a lot of space, and you don't really have the power. Then I can show you that as well. No, when I put it here now, okay, when it's totally open, then it's okay. But sometimes when it's like this, and then you have to pull it like that, it might happen that it doesn't really close, because it feels like it's a wrong angle. I would more expect it to be here that I can put the door angle. But okay, that's just a detail, I must say. I think you'll get along, and you always hear when it's closed. So, and just from my basic feeling here in the interior, as I said, the seat really offers kind of this caged-in feeling, which is very good for a race car, of course. But I must say already now, I wouldn't take it for longer journeys because I don't think they are too comfortable. Sometimes there are sport seats that are also comfortable for the long trip. In this case, I must say, I think I would get lower back pain for the long road, but that might also have to do something with my height, of course. So maybe if you're small, you don't get so much problem. So, and then let's take a look here at the detailed interior at the middle console. Because a middle console is, well, kind of this basic middle console we also get in the normal Fiesta version. And I think this is kind of the biggest flaw here in this car, because first of all, it gets kind of huge inside the interior. Almost like a balloon, and then we got so many buttons here. I'm not sure if you're really using every one of this button. A little bit confusing, also especially with these buttons here. And what I find quite disturbing is that we got so much different forms. You know, here sharp angles, round again, half round here again, then round again here. So many mixtures, and I think here from the interior design they didn't really know what shall we do. You have to climb in here. Of course, it's way more practical if you got 5 doors, but as I said, not available in the ST version. Then, as I would be seating as a driver, well, I have hardly any leg space, but I think it could be worse just from leg space wise. That's still quite okay. From the headroom, it's also still quite okay. I mean, we're in a small car segment here, and we just have 3 doors. So that's, I think, it's really okay. I'm 186 meters, still got that kind of space above my head. That's really okay. About the head restraints, by the way, thank you for the tip that you officially call them head restraints, not headrest, but we can also say headrest, I think. They don't go up too high. So I'm not sure if they really well protect your neck. Well, they don't, at least not my neck, because I would be falling over there then. So that's kind of a flaw in here, but they wouldn't also go much higher than. overall, I must say, for such a small car and the only 3 doors, you still got a lot of space here. And well, I wouldn't, want to rest here too long, but it's, I must really admit, also kind of cozy in here when you're a little bit caged in here. Also with the Recaro ST design here in the back seats. So for the space they had, they really used it here. So let's check the trunk, because also when you got the sporty version, you want to use it for your everyday shopping area. Well, I think it's not huge, of course, small car segment, but I think it's also quite okay. They use the space. Also a suitcase would fit in here, and as we don't have another spare wheel, we also got something more on below here. The backpacks are on it, but it's an additional space below there, and it's also quite steep. So I think here as well they use the space they have, even if the car doesn't look that that angular from the outside. It's still kind of spacious from the inside. I think there they did a very good job. Coming from this 1.6 liter EcoBoost engine from Ford, no hydraulic dampers here, but of course it's a small car segment, so that's quite okay. So that one is the engine here now, set 1.6 liter, 182 horsepower, a little bit less than with the Polo GTI, but that won't make such a difference. The performance figure is 6.9 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers, and for a small car that's quite impressive. Although this one here, the Ford Fiesta ST, is really a very aggressive small car we will see now in the driving review. So about driving, Ford Fiesta ST is really a crazy kind of vehicle, I must say. It's way stiffer, for example, than the Polo GTI. It's like when you have the Polo GTI in that very hard sport mode. For example, you will also see it on the camera now. When you're just going on the small bump, it's like, whoa. You really have feeling like no suspension at all. It's really rough. And well, you cannot really pick the suspension mode here. In the Polo GTI you could, so you should go for that car here if you really prefer that very rough and super sporty suspension. Of course, the good thing about this, when you are really fast in the corners, gives you a lot of stability. So for a sporty suspension, it's also a very great job here. In general, you might maybe know also for the serial cars, the Ford suspensions are always very good, really. And well, it depends on what you really want to have, sporty or comfortably. As for the steering here, it's a direct response, and you also don't need too much steering ways. Well, it could be a little bit more progressive. I think it was a little bit better, for example, also in the Polo GTI. So the steering wheel could be a little bit shorter. But overall, I'm quite happy with the steering here as well. It's really more exaggerated, more aggressive car than the Polo GTI. Unless you are in that sport mode, then the Polo GTI is also very aggressive. But that one, I must really say, now checking the turning circle, it's also quite slow. Rear gear, rear view camera, first gear again, and now let's really push it. Now it's understeering a little bit, pushing us on the front wheels. Second gear again, next corner. Wow, it's incredible, really, for such a small car. Here you don't pay too much money and really have a great sports car. It's a real true sports car, I must say. So if you want that rough sports experience and want to have a lot of fun on the road, this is exactly the right choice. Roundabout here, I can really push it. A little bit of wet road here. Ah, yeah, it's flowing a little bit in the corner. Now the chicane here. So much fun here, and I think, well, we now showed you that on purpose with our cameraman in the back. because when the camera is attached fixedly in the front, you don't really feel the G-forces, don't really see the G-forces that are applied on the car. But then when our cameraman is also shaking a bit, it's not too comfortable for the cameraman, but then you get better impressions of how the car is really reacting and the speed we are going actually. And yeah, I'm really amazed by this car from the funny side. However, I'm already starting to feel my lower back because the suspension is really rough and also the sport seats, they keep you very tight. So what's your opinion actually on these three? I think the Ford Fiesta ST, it's a very fun car, also very stiff. So if you're really preferring that hard, stiff and basic sportiness, then you should go for the Fiesta. Also the cheapest model here in our comparison. And the Polo GTI, well, there you can really decide with the sport button if you're going for this very sporty mode or if you just want to use it for the everyday driving. I think this is also a very good advantage in just the everyday using of this car, and I really love that you can have both purposes with the car. The Audi S1, I think it's the best car from these three definitely, and already offers some of the luxury features of the bigger Audis. However, also really a lot of money already for a small car. I'm not sure if I would spend so much money for a small car. Therefore, from these three, the Polo GTI is my favorite.